Hello, everyone. Peace and powerful greetings, family. It's so good to see you today. So, you're watching Uncovering Hidden Healing, the show where we explore deep, ancient, and often overlooked traditions of Africa and the African diaspora, natural and traditional medicine. So, I'm your host, Arletha Lizana, healer, educator, and founder of Ceiba Women. So, this series is brought to you in collaboration with Ceiba Women Incorporated, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Prometra International, in celebration of our natural and traditional medicine online certificate program. So together we're reclaiming ancestral wisdom and sharing it with the world. So each Sunday we dive into a new healing modality rooted in culture, spirit, and story. And today we're going global, right? So in this episode, we're talking about a topic that is close to my heart, healing through travel. So, what happens when we leave the comfort of our environment and immerse ourselves in lands, practices, and energies that shaped our ancestors? What happens when we walk barefoot on sacred ground, sip ancestral medicines and ceremony, and feel the drumbeats of a tradition that's calling us home? This is natural medicine travel. It's not just a vacation, it's a pilgrimage, a portal, a healing pathway. To help us explore this rich conversation, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Javier Escudero, professor, author, cultural curator, photographer, and co-founder of BrazilCultural, a 20-year powerhouse organization offering transformative study abroad and cultural travel experiences across Brazil, Mexico, Portugal, Spain, all over the place. So Dr. Javier holds a PhD in Spanish and Latin American literature and culture from the University of Virginia. He's taught at Penn State. He's worked at the Spanish consulate in Rio de Janeiro and has lectured at prestigious institutions like Yale, UVA, Cornell, and the Smithsonian Institution. He's also a published author with several literary works and widely praised book on the iconic photographer Pierre Fatumi Berger. His work beautifully weaves culture, literature, photography, and storytelling in immersive educational experience. So Javier, welcome to Uncovering Hidden Healing. We're so excited to have you with us today.
Boa tarde, Arletha. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you. And hello, everybody watching this program. It's an honor to be here with you, Arletha. I follow your work, and I'm a big enthusiast, about what you do.
Thank you so much, Javier. So we'll jump right in. So Javier, you've led cultural and academic travel experiences all over the world. So what inspired you? Why did you create BrazilCultural? And what role does healing play in your approach to travel?
Well, at age 18, I had my first job, and it was teaching Spanish for a week to a group of English students who went to Spain. Mm-hmm. So there was a study abroad experience. Then I repeat this experience when I was 19, and then at 20, I was lucky to meet Paquita Andres, who was a woman who was educated in Switzerland and who really taught me a lot about working with foreign people. Mm-hmm. And she really, she was a big master for me. She really showed me the potential of this profession. She opened so many doors. So then I decided to go to the United States. I was accepted to do my master's and then my PhD at the University of Virginia. And during my time in Virginia, I took students to Spain for 6 summers, to Valencia. I started taking 34 students the first year, and 6 years later, I took 108 students. Or not. It was a very successful program. But I finished my PhD, I got into the job market, got an offer from Penn State University, State College, Happy Valley, and moved from Charlottesville to Happy Valley State College, and I started teaching at Penn State. And I did some study abroad while I was at Penn State. I did 2 programs in Mexico. I reviewed a program in Costa Rica, a program in Spain, and then I got tenure. And a few years later, in 2001, I was invited to work in Rio de Janeiro for 2 years as director of Cervantes Institute and also Spanish Consul of Education. At the time, I had already married my wife, Patricia Burgos, from Brazil, who I met the first day that I arrived to Salvador, Bahia. So there was something magical about this.
Magic. Yeah.
Yes, and we were in Rio for 2 years, and after living in Rio, we said no, we want to live in Brazil. There was something magic about the sea, the temperature, and we started receiving welcoming people to our house in Rio de Janeiro. I think in 2 years we welcomed around 40 visitors. Family, friends, everybody wanted to come to Rio de Janeiro to breathe and to enjoy the culture, the fabulous culture, the music, the beach, all the history and culture that the city offers. And at the time, I decided, there was a day that I said, no, I'm going to live in Brazil. This is where I really want to live. And it's the combination of the sea, of the people, of weather is important for me. I live in Pennsylvania for many years.
Yes.
I also live in Madrid, very cold too, not as cold as Pennsylvania, but Brazilian, the weather in Brazil was something fantastic. To have, you could go to the beach almost every single day of the year. In Rio, 2 or 3 months are a little bit colder, but still, sunny day you can go to the beach. For me, the beach is a very important healing space. Okay. But then basically we went back to the States because my appointment was for 2 years. And during the 3 years that we were in the States between 2003 and 2006, we decided to open BrazilCultural. And, when I was 22, I told my friend that one day I will have a global school. It took me a while, but at 46, at 44, sorry, Patricia and I create BrazilCultural. And first we start with a program that I had created for Penn State. And little by little, we start adding other programs. And we had, in 2010, we were lucky to sign an agreement with Spelman College.
Yes.
That was very transformative. And really Spelman and then United Negro College Fund seminars that came to Brazil for 3 years and other universities help us to create what we call exchange learning. Basically, a methodology that we want to make sure that the students from abroad come to Brazil and get the best experience, but at the same time, this experience can impact local students and local organizations. And so we try to always put together people from both sides. We have experienced a lot of healing, experience for students who come to Brazil and have gone through an epiphany. African students, white students, the contact with the sea, with a culture that enjoys music, that knows how to celebrate, that is very happy in many occasions. They have little, but the happiness is very big, and there is a lot of faith also involved. For me, as I said, when I met Patricia, when I discovered the city of Salvador, when I realized that I could go to the beach every single day of the year, that was something magical. Because I've been a swimming all my life, a swimmer. And for me, going into the sea is a very transformative healing experience. And we always also give students this opportunity. We like to organize with the students activities at the beach in the morning to play different games that Brazilians play, like futebol. It's like the volleyball with no arms.
Yes.
It's like soccer.
Yes.
Then the basketball, the rackets.
Yeah.
Then they have another game that is called alchinha to maintain the ball up. But for me going, I swim. I swim 4 styles.
Wow.
But for me, the sea, I love to get into the water. And sometimes after I finish swimming, I basically go to the shore and I let the waves to basically massage, break in my head. And, I basically play there like a kid. I'm 64 years old. And, the other day I was at the beach and people were looking at me thinking, what am I doing? Well,
that's your secret. Yeah. That's
doing exactly the same that a kid next to me was doing. Just, staying on the shore, rolling around, uh, feeling the water, feeling the waves breaking in my back. And during this year, I also love to do what we call in Brazil jacaré. Jacaré is like swimming the waves, you
Okay.
know. And
Yeah.
I have gotten very good at it. And even though it's a risky sport, I've
Yes.
never broken anything.
Thank goodness. Yes. So that's
But
what keeps you so young. Yes. Yeah.
well, yeah, probably
Yeah.
it helps. No, the beach, I think the beach and the weather has
Mhm.
helped. And also keeps me young to be in touch with young people, Arletha.
Mhm.
I always in touch with young people. They're full of life, all this good energy. People who come to travel, they bring an openness. They are open to experience new food, to experience new people, to experience capoeira, samba. As you know, Brazilians have a special touch to share
Mhm.
their culture because they are very happy people,
That's right.
and this really this contact this connections with Brazil really changed my life. Well, first was Patricia. Patricia is a very important woman in my life.
Yes.
She's a Brazilian woman. She's a very happy woman. Sometimes we get into an argument, and 5 minutes later she's over it.
Yes.
That is something that is very nice, that
Great.
she doesn't stick to it. And so has and I used to stick to problems sometimes, and I have learned how to to take time and stop and go over it. But yes, with Patricia again, we create this experience, and we always try to make sure that the students go through this positive
Mhm.
life experience through the contact with the sea, through the contact with dances,
Mhm.
through the contact with practicing music together with locals. Those, in many ways, are experience that heal, people.
Mhm.
Because, as you know, travel has become, one of the most desired things for people to do. But
That's
we don't travel as tourists. We
mm,
travel as locals.
that's
We
right.
we try to bring local people with our students, so they get to know each other. So they work together, they share things together, they laugh together.
That's
And then the goodbyes are always very difficult, but at the same time, new friendships are born out of these
that's right.
encounters. So again, travel not as a tourist, travel as a local,
That's
you
right.
know, and this has helped people to really appreciate Brazil and go back feeling renewed. And
Mhm.
many of our students say, "Oh God, I don't see the time to go back." Brazil has really changed my perception of on my own culture. For example, one of the things that we do in Brazil, we tell students, please do not waste food. It's
Mhm.
a very important thing for us.
Yes.
you know so people say to us at the end of the program, what do you like the most? Well, I learned something important: not to waste food is very sacred. Okay,
Absolutely.
because in Brazil nobody wastes food. You put things in your plate and you're going to eat what you put in your plate.
Yep. That's
Okay,
right.
so
Absolutely.
this kind of experience have helped us to shape little by little our programming, and has made us successful in many ways in what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've answered like about five of my questions in one. This was like a
Oh,
great introduction. So no, it's great. So you really just talked about how like this immersive travel really opens people up to
yes,
transformation, like
yes,
emotionally, spiritually, just intellectually. I mean,
yes,
you talked about, working with the students and noticing how things help to shift the mindset of the students, like you talked about saving food, so here we're used to kind of wasting food, but the importance food and not wasting it, and just seeing how students adapt to that and understand. I mean, you talked about natural medicine and just travel in general is more than tourism,
yes.
that it's an intentional healing journey. So, you talked about so much. But let's talk about this. Our series centers on African and African diasporic
Yes.
healing. So,
Yes.
why do you think that travel to ancestral lands like Brazil or West Africa is especially powerful for people of African descent?
Well, I'm a white person, I'm a European, Spanish, but I have always been, I think my first hero when I was 3 or 4 was King Balthasar. We have the tradition of the three kings in Spain. So you have to choose who is your favorite one. So to ask him for presents. So I was 3 or 4, and I choose Baltasar. And then I remember at age 8 or 9, my brother was studying English, and he had a record by Martin Luther King with his speech, famous speech in Washington. So I remember growing up with this speech, and also seeing in TV the struggle of the civil rights movement. And Martin Luther King was basically became a hero, more in a society like Spain that was at the time a fascist country. We were under a dictatorship until I was 15. A very macho country and a very racist country. So I grew up confronting all these three, things: fascism, machismo, and racism. And at age 14, I was a Boy Scout, and we have to do the promise to get our lace. So we have to choose a godfather. So I choose Martin Luther King. Okay. Time passed by. I was lucky to study at UVA for my master's and PhD, and I can tell you, I learned a lot about Black culture in UVA. I learned a lot about segregation in the United States about when I was at UVA, because I remember going to A Street my first year, and I said, God, this is a completely different world. It's like 2 streets down is all white people, is the medical school, and you come here, you pass the train track, and here it is a black, the legacy of the South, the legacy of the people who were enslaved and the people who were still highly marginalized. I remember visiting Monticello in 1986, and there were not really reference to slaves. And people couldn't ask about Sarah Higgins or, Jefferson's, former slave who became his lover, and then they have kids, etc., etc. That this was not mentioned. And then life took me to Brazil. I also dated an African American woman for 5 years in Washington D.C. while I was a professor, assistant professor. And through her, I also was able to really understand the struggle of African Americans in the United States. So then when I moved to Brazil, and one of my educational purpose and objective was to have an impact on marginalized Afro-Brazilians that didn't have the opportunities that we did in many ways. So our mission, our objective has always been to bring help to Black organizations, Black educational organizations in Brazil, financial help. We also have done a lot of professional activities together, so we have shaped each other, and then we have helped these organizations, and they have helped us to create activities that then these organizations can sell to other groups. And so this has been very rewarding. And then we basically attract young kids who are good, skilled to learn English. And basically, we give them the opportunity first to do a study abroad in their own city. Then we invite them to assist us. And then we invite them to present topics as they become more fluent in English. And now we have a good number of students who lead our programs. We had Tuskegee University 2 weeks ago in Brazil, and the program was done by 2 of my former collaborators. We had 5 students from Vico Institute Cultural, Steve Vico, that prepares students to enter the university as guests. And, Dr. Rhonda Collier, who was the director of the Tuskegee program, said, Javier, this has been phenomenal. This has been the best study abroad experience because you know how to integrate people. Said that this experience is extremely healing for my Afro-Brazilian students, in the sense that they become important. They feel that other people care about themselves. They care about their culture. They could be white or Black American students. But again, to be in touch with foreign students has been a very important issue for them. On the other side, I have work. As I said, we create a program for Spelman College.
Mhm.
In 2010, we have already done like 7 or 8 programs for Spelman.
Mhm.
And through Spelman, then United Negro College Fund, we start welcoming other groups from HBCUs.
Okay.
And again, professors. I remember the time that Cynthia Neal Spence, who is the director of United Negro College Fund seminar,
Mhm.
the Mellon Foundation. She said, Javier, we are hiring you, we are bringing you a good amount of money, but I want to make sure that I want to ask you to please, the more money you could put in Black hands, the more the happier we'll be.
Mhm.
Important for us to develop Black people, to develop Black business, to develop, the work of Black educators. And
Mhm.
it was 2011. Nobody was talking about Black money at the time.
That's right.
But that was a lesson that Cynthia shared with me, and I say, Cynthia, you are absolutely right. We have a lot of Black business in Brazil. We have, many organizations who are Black. So basically, every group we take to Brazil pass through 7 or 8 organizations in Bahia. We
Mhm.
have other organizations in Rio, but as we are based in Bahia, we have
Okay.
done more programs in Bahia. So bringing African American students has been a very fulfilling experience. Has been fulfilling because African Americans find brotherhoods, brothers and sisters in Brazil. I've seen this situation a few times, like people walking into places and say, "Oh my God, she looks like my grandmother.
Yeah.
Let me embrace her." This kind of thing, and you see people crying.
Yeah.
You know, wow, this is like, oh my God, this is so incredible. Or saying, oh, look at this guy. We look alike. We could be from the same family.
That's
I
right.
live in the United States, you live in Brazil, but we look alike.
Mhm.
Probably we come from the same origin. So for African American students to and faculty to discover, not only the similarities, but the rich culture that
Mhm.
Brazil offers, because again, you are going to discover the food. You are
That's
going
right.
to discover that this African food is linked to spirituality, is
Yes.
linked to beliefs.
Yes.
Um, so we are very careful to bring students and to this understanding, the
Mhm.
connection between the the connection between food, sacred food, spirituality,
Mhm.
music. How samba it is a profane music now, but in the back of it is a very religious chant. You
Mhm.
know, it
Yeah.
brings us back. It brings us back to Africa. Capoeira, just the fact of students being able to join into a capoeira circle and
Mhm.
to play capoeira and to understand that where capoeira comes from. That has so many. The history of the struggle. It's all
Mhm.
about. Is right there, or be able to experience samba de roda and to learn samba with the old women from
Yeah.
the rural areas of Bahia, or
Yes.
to be able to do dendé oil, palm oil with
Yes.
the community. So in sum, all of these experiences are extremely rich, powerful, and bring new perspective, and bring for sure an Atlantic perspective to many of our students. And
Mhm.
it brings an amazing connections between Black people. You know.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you spoke about so much. Again, it's just wonderful what you do. I mean, and this has just been for a long time. And your connection with Spelman, and then talking about how Dr. Spence kind of really also helped shape your business and giving, incorporating, Black people in Bahia into the business is awesome. I mean, I really love your model and how it's set up.
Thank
I mean, I
you.
remember like, when I first met you first, and, through my niece,
Yes.
Ariel. and how we spent Christmas Day with your family, and you welcomed us in, you fed us. It was just like the best thing, warmed my heart. We actually we slept in hammocks, just rested, and just had a really great time. And so it just always warms my heart of this, like how open you are, for people, and just really just being an excellent host and just so knowledgeable about everything. So let's talk more about Bahia. Since you kind of brought it up. So you can speak to the cultural and spiritual energy of Bahia. We can talk a little bit about our upcoming trip together. So we have our natural medicine journey to Bahia happening in February 2026. I mean, so what can people expect from this once in a lifetime experience? Like, tell us about Bahia and what we're going to see and all of the wonderful things and why you. Yeah.
Oh, Bahia is a magical land. Well, to start with, the port of Bahia received approximately 13% of the people who were enslaved in the Americas. So we're talking about probably over a million and a half people who were enslaved came through the port of Salvador. So the city of Salvador is the largest Black city outside Lagos. So it is extremely, African culture is everywhere. But for a whole century after slavery, this was highly marginalized. Samba was seen as a very dirty music in the 1920s. Through the radio, got popular, and people say, "Oh, let's organize Samba schools to show the white oligarchy that we also educate, that this is part of our culture, that this is a school, that there is not as profane, as dirty as they think." Candomblé religion or any other African religion was not accepted. People who practice candomblé could be detained, sometimes the police breaking festivities of candomblé, but this keep multiplicating, this keep growing. The food was preserved. So many women were able to achieve in the 19th century their freedom to buy their submission letter because they cook the traditional recipes from Africa. They cook the acarajé, the African bread. They did, all these African recipes that suddenly conquer the taste of Black and white people. And through this entrepreneurial effort, many Black women were able to survive, and still today to maintain families, to open venues for themselves. So what are you going to see in Bahia? Again, Bahia is magical. First, it's magical because of the weather. It's a tropical weather. It is. We are on the sea. Our sea and our beaches are really nice. People. Some people try. We need to be careful because from the 16th century, Brazil has been seen either as paradise or as hell. Two Catholic images of paradise and hell have dominated and still dominate the perception that we have about Brazil. Sometimes when we launch a program, we have 40 applicants, and then when people need to pay, we have 15 applicants. Why? Well, people go to home and say, "Dad, I want to go to Brazil," and dad or mom say, "No, sorry, Brazil is very violent. I'm not going to let you go." But Dad, Brazil is beautiful. All these beautiful people, they go to the beach, they're very happy, they have all this musical, this culture. But dad or mom, they're not going to pay for the trip. Because there is this perception, again, still today, that Brazil is a very barbarian, very hell society. Unfortunately, violence is a legacy of our colonialism. Violence is a legacy of our inequality. Violence is a legacy of the abandonment of Black people in Brazil. Only in the last 20 years, the law has changed. Only in the last 20 years, Black students are attending the university because we have now a quota system that allowed Black students to get into the university. But in 2002, when I got to Brazil, only 2% of students at the university were black.
Mhm.
Today we have 40% of students who are black at Brazilian university. So this is really changing. So, but still we are really behind in comparison with how much black people have advanced in the United States. But at the same time, we hold something unique. We hold, again, a very strong African culture that is present in our music, is present in our social norms, is present on how people dress, is present in spirituality, is present in the use of leaves as remedies, is present in the way people relate or embrace each other. Is present of the, for example, the importance of women in the families. Brazil tends to be more matriarchal society. Women have a very important role, leading role in the society. Okay. So again, you are going to arrive to a historical city at the first capital of Brazil, very colonial, very similar to what you'll see in Puerto Rico, in Cartagena las Indias, or New Orleans. This strong colonial influence. But the legacy that African people left and still have there is huge. So this is, in my opinion, one of the most incredible things that you will experience. But you will experience it not as a tourist. You will experience as a traveler, because we make every single effort to integrate you, to make sure that you connect with people, to make sure that you do things with your hands, you learn how to cook, you go and embrace trees like you like to do, like we bring you to ceremonies that you see the ceremonies not like a tourist, but again, as a traveler, understanding, talking about it, and so again, it's a very vibrant culture, very exuberant, and very, again, there is something about Bahia. It's like the happiness. There is a natural happiness in people. You can relate to everybody. I can talk to anyone on the street. Could be a rich person, could be a poor person. I treat everybody the same. I treat everybody with respect. I like to be treated with respect. And this opened my has opened a lot my understanding of Brazilian society, because I talk to everybody.
Awesome. So let me just ask you a couple of questions, from our audience. So what advice would you give someone who feels called to go on a healing journey abroad, but like you said, maybe nervous or unsure, unfamiliar with international travel? So any advice, because you kind of spoke to that as well,
Again, we have welcomed in Brazil around 65 groups of students and professors. We have welcomed in many occasions people who say, "Oh, this is my first trip to Brazil, my first trip abroad."
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I was like a little bit nervous, but I believe that the leader person, for example, you will be the leader person. The leader person has to convince people of, again, of how challenging and beautiful this experience will be. Okay. Challenging because, for people who haven't traveled too much, or is the first time to Brazil, it's a little challenging. You are going into a new country, new norms, a new language. Sometimes you feel insecure that you will be able to communicate with people or not. But this is a reality there, and so don't again, even though when we look at the statistic of violence in Brazil, these are very, worry, again, it's very unusual, very, very unusual that we have safety problems. Very, very unusual. We experience, we walk around, and sometimes, yes, we have had a small assault here. Somebody took a telephone, but it's very, very minimal.
It's the same in the U.S. though. I feel like it's about the same, that you experience if you were traveling abroad. In some places in the U.S., it's the same.
Yes.
So
yes.
So
let your fear on the side and come back, because you're going to have an epiphany. You're going to have, again, this contact with the water, with the beach, with the people, with the food, with the religion, with the history, with the architecture. Even though it's a very tough, as you know, going into the United States, and also as I immerse myself also into Black culture in the United States, it's is very it's difficult. It's difficult. The history was horrible. There was a lot of cruelty. There was a lot of, abuses, a lot of rape, and again, but the strength, the positiveness has prevailed, and we are looking towards a better future. And I think Brazilians look to Black Brazilians look to their brothers in the United States as a big ally in their efforts to have a better life.
That's right.
And the contact give Brazilians a unique, a unique perspective, an Atlantic perspective that brings brotherhood, sisterhood together. Last week, I received a call from a couple in the United States. She's an Afro-Brazilian from Itaparica Island who married an American guy. She participated with me in some activities. They moved to the United States. They have a kid, and they have been very successful in business. So they called me up and said, Javier, we just saw your post in Instagram. We want to help.
Yes.
We want to go back to the island and help. How can we help? How can we help Quilombo Ilia? Quilombo Ilia is an organization in the Itaparica Island. Itaparica is a small island in front of Salvador. So people say, how can we help? How can we help Quilombo Ilia? What kind of initiatives? So I always say, start low. Start with a small project, invest in this project and grow with it little by little. We get these kinds of support. We get donations for this organization. Sometimes out of the blue, people call us up and say, Javier, I was thinking I really would like to send some money to this Maroon community that you work with in Itaparica, because this experience that I had with them impressed me. Again, there is no, you could come here and do service and you don't need to give money. You could help servicing people other ways, helping them with English, etc. For example, during the pandemic, we put together a group of 15 Afro-Brazilian students with 15 former students of us in the United States and with some of our collaborators in Portugal and Morocco. So we create a group of 30 people who were every week talking in English. One were learning English, the other ones were learning about culture, so the exchange was very fruitful. We did this exchange last fall with MCC students. We have 6 students paired with 6 Brazilian students to learn English, to learn culture. Okay, and we put the students at the same level. We all have knowledge.
That's right.
We don't like to do this volunteer. I don't like the idea of volunteer. I like the idea of service. Sometimes volunteer or feel like, oh, I'm going to go and paint for you. No, people can paint themselves. People need to get instructed. People need to get a good education. People need to learn English. English really is very important professional skill to have for Afro-Brazilians, and it opens doors for them. Okay, and once you get to the university, once you finish your university, when people say, oh, you speak English? Yeah, I speak very good English. How do you speak so good? Well, I had contacts with these groups and exchanges programs, and this give me the energy and the strength to focus on my English.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that concept of, service and service learning. It's so important. So, this is my last question. So can you describe a moment when you witnessed someone, having a breakthrough or a deep healing, during travel? They had a big breakthrough. You have a story or, a time? Remember that?
Well, there is a I'm going to put some light on me because it's getting darker here. Is the sunset. I'm speaking from Morocco, from Asila. And we are working a group tomorrow here in Morocco. But yes, last group that we had with Spelman College, something very interesting happened. There is, Praia de Forte. Praia de Forte is very close to Salvador, and there is an important historical site in Praia de Forte that is the fort of Garcia Davila. Garcia Davila Fort is also called the Castle Garcia Davila. It's the oldest mansion built in the Americas, still standing. It was built in 1553, between 1553 to 1620. But the family became the richest family in the Northeast, and the family controlled 10%. In the 17th century, this family controlled 10% of the actual territory of Brazil. So they control all the north, all the way to the Amazon, from all the north. And basically, they enslave native people, they enslave African people. Okay, so the ruins of this place are a very sacred and a very difficult place for African American and Native people to visit, because the energy is very heavy.
Right.
You walk in and you see people like, oh my God, these ruins, they hide so much cruelty. They hide, but unfortunately, the oligarchy, when they look at this legacy, they love talking about, oh, the Garcia Davilas, oh, they were these pioneers, they were so good, they conquer, but they don't really talk about, how they did it, basically enslaving people, mistreating people, in order to become richer and richer. So we were there, and today is very interesting because this is still in the hands of a private owner, who is basically the former mayor of Praia de Forte, he was also a deputy, a congressman in Brazil. He's one of the richest men of Bahia, and basically he has a foundation, and the castle is his property. Okay, and in this castle they organize weddings and sometimes photo shots. So when we were visiting with Erica Williams, a professor from Spelman that you probably know, and a group of 10 students, suddenly they realized that there was a white couple taking photographs. And suddenly they felt so sad.
Yeah.
And suddenly Professor Erica said, let's make a circle. Let's make a circle to remember, to bring back our ancestors, to communicate with them, to feel their pain. So we all, because I was part of the circle, we all got into the circle. And these students start crying like crazy. Erica cried like crazy. It was an epiphany. It was an epiphany that was necessary, I believe, that connect these students to these ancestors who live in this land, who suffer centuries of oppression.
That's right.
Misery. And for me, it was one of the most impactful experiences that I witnessed with the students in Brazil. It was like a minute holding everybody in the same group, but everybody was crying very hard.
Yep.
But then when we walk out, we feel renewed. We feel like they feel more renewed because they feel like they have really pay a real tribute, a great homage to the ancestors who have given their lives there for others to survive and to now have dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're describing is so powerful. It's that ancestral healing. Many of us in the diaspora are called to do that. Like I travel to West Africa a lot, so I've seen that in Ghana, dungeons in Ghana, in Senegal, Nigeria. So it's that same feeling, that same experience. So thank you for sharing that experience. It's like I was choked up just listening to it. It's a lot.
These ruins also, in the ruins on the bottom, there is the prison of the house. But there's no indication about it.
Yes.
Right. They have made a museum, but they avoid talking about.
Yes, that happens. Yep.
It's kind of the Portuguese perspective. When you go to Portugal and you see how the Portuguese, revere their colonizers, Well, the Brazilian Republic and then the Brazilian democracy during the 20th century, basically they embrace the same perspective.
Right. Yeah.
They adopt the colonial perspective. They put statues to the governor of first governor of Brazil. There are a lot of statues of Portuguese people in Brazil.
Right.
We have few of African.
Yeah.
Few.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Go ahead. I was gonna say it's like he's trying to erase it, but you can't erase that spirit. You can, you can't erase the energy there. You have to acknowledge it. So that was so powerful. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, Javier, just thank you so much. This has been so inspiring and insightful. You helped us see that healing isn't just local, it's global. And sometimes the medicine we need is waiting for us across an ocean. So to everyone watching, if your spirit is stirring, if your spirit is stirring you up, and you've been craving reconnection and you've never stepped foot on ancestral land, or you have and you want to visit, now is your time. So, join us for the Ceiba Women Natural Medicine Journey to Bahia, Brazil, happening February 2026. We'll explore healing and music, tradition, plant medicine, and sacred joy, all while walking the lands our ancestors helped shape. So let us know for more if you want more information. The deposits will be open soon. And so, Javier, tell us, how can our audience connect with you and support BrazilCultural?
No, again, the best way is going through you, as there are your connections. But you could adopt one of our students to practice English once a week. We have now the new generation. We have 7 students. For example, I told you the other day, I believe I told you about this student who passed into medicine school.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for Black students to get into medicine school. Okay. Black students coming from a very marginalized background. So now Black students coming from marginalized backgrounds, they want to be doctors. And they are getting to university, and this is happening. Okay. So we have this student who now his English is intermediary. He participated with us with the Tuskegee group, and he said, Javier, now I'm going to master my English. This experience has been transformative for me. I'm so happy I participate in this experience. Again, you say, oh, Javier, I'll have 30 minutes a week to talk to one of these students, Black students who wants to learn English. And because I got to learn they're going to teach you about Brazilian culture. They're going to teach you about how they see their world. They're going to teach you about the dreams. And I think this connection is very spectacular. So again, adopt one student to train this student, to practice a student. You could bring your family to talk to him. You could make a friendship with this person. And then when you come to Brazil, you'll meet this person.
That's right.
And you will change the life of somebody, teaching somebody English. So for me, I realized in 2005, I did a service class in English to the community. And then I realized it was the most difficult class I ever taught, because I had this foundation put like everybody, 60 years old, 50 years old, kids with autism, everybody was in the class. Kids who were very, rebels. And so it was extremely difficult. But I learned that English was transformative, and that English is not for everybody, but for those who have the skills. Let's go for it. Let's invest in them, because they're going to master English in 2 or 3 or 4 years when they feel like the power of speaking a new language, the power of communicating with other people, because they don't have this opportunity in Brazil. They are seen as Black people in many occasions. But then when they go to an office and they say, no, yes, I can speak English very well. White people say, oh my God, this guy speaks English better than the white people that we have here.
Yes.
Okay. And that is a good professional opportunity. That is a very good layer of presentation. Okay. So again, adopt a student. I say, Javier, yes, we have time. I have 1 hour here, 1 hour there. I can tell you, I'm training now 8 students, and they are like high beginning, low intermediate, and they're all absolutely wonderful people. So this could be a way to, to create a link and to do some service virtual, and then have some friends. And when you come to Brazil, you're going to embrace your friends. And this is going to be a fantastic adventure for both sides.
I mean, I love that. And I think that's something that we can set up. So when people, are signing up for our trip, maybe we can start that way. And, they can start with, just, donating an hour here or there to talk to people. And
30 minutes, with WhatsApp, 30 minutes, or just sending messages. The student can send you a message, you respond, and then you can correct. So again, well, the good thing about your trip also is that we are going to witness February 2nd, Yemanja Festival. That is the most beautiful African festivity of Bahia.
Yes.
Because it's the one that is not contaminated by Catholicism.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, I love it. We're so excited.
nothing against Catholicism.
Right.
Okay, because our other festivities, for example, we have Santa Barbara, Yansa, but we celebrate Yansa on the day of Santa Barbara. That is the Catholic saint.
Yes.
Okay, then we have Bonfim Church, the Bonfim festivity. Yes, but we celebrate it in the Bonfim Church. That is the Catholic Church. But Yemanja is a pure African festivity, and it's absolutely magnificent. A lot of people on the beach, a lot of people bringing flowers to offer to Yemanja. The whole city congregate in Rio Vermelho in the neighborhood. So it's a very great event to participate in. Okay.
Yep. Yes, love it. Thank you so much. So, family, if this episode lit something up in you, don't ignore it. Healing is not just something we wait for, it's something we go and find. So, make sure you're subscribed to Ceiba Women on YouTube and share this episode with your fellow sister traveler and leave a comment below. Where would you like your healing journey to take you if you let your soul decide? So next week, we'll explore how coaching, education, and spiritual alignment can set you up for your most successful and grounded year ever. It's called the Blueprint of Success, and you don't want to miss it. Until then, travel well, heal deeply, and keep uncovering hidden healing all around you. So thank you so much, Javier, for this time.
Thank you, Arletha. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much, and we'll see you
Looking
soon.
forward our new collaboration.
That's right.
Thank you.